Hi, my name is Kat Albrecht. I'm the Maryland and Delaware Area Director for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Suicide is a very complex health issue. And in 2019, we lost 47,511 Americans to suicide. This makes suicide the 10th leading cause of death in the US. And we also estimate that for each suicide, 25 other people try to take their life. This means 1.4 million Americans try to take their life each year. And we also know that each suicide impacts hundreds of people. However, there are ways to prevent suicide. And before I'm going to talk about risk factors, warning signs, and how to reach out to somebody in crisis, I would like you to listen to Greg's story.
When I was a child, I always felt as if I was different. In high school, I did come out of my shell a bit, but with that came the partying and the alcohol struggle. Episodes of mania, depression. Going off to college was not the right thing. I went to a party one night, and I just remember feeling there's no point in going further, in living anymore. And that night I decided that I was going to take my life. When I got the impulse, I acted on it. When I got home, I told no one. I picked up some jobs, and I got a job in a bank. I did meet my wife, and we had a couple of boys. The self-esteem started to rise, and the confidence started to go up, and we had a life together. As I moved forward and got older, and my children got older, these episodes started to intensify again, and they were getting worse. The depressions were lower. The mania was higher, and that brought on the alcohol and the drug use. That's when I was first diagnosed that I was living with bipolar disorder. My brain wasn't thinking straight, wasn't thinking correctly. It was like there was a voice telling me my life, and all of it was bad. None of it mattered, and it was lying to me. But I believed whatever it told me. And so I planned my attempt. I thought the plan I had was foolproof and would work. It didn't. When I was in the hospital receiving treatment, I woke up and looked at myself pretty hard and said, "It's enough. You can't do this to yourself. You can't live this way anymore." That was the moment I realized that I needed to start on a path to recovery. I had to stop drinking, and I had to stop taking drugs. Another key thing for me was embracing professional help. As far as tools I was given, it started with running. From running, I found yoga. I met a group of people that embraced me and would support me. And I, in turn, supported them. I think recovery is complex, and there is no one answer for everyone. Find what works for you. Recovery is attainable, and recovery happens. And I'm living proof.
As you just heard, there's not one single reason why somebody takes their life. Like any other disease, there are risk factors for suicide. We know from research that the majority of people who died by suicide had an underlying mental health condition. Something like depression, bipolar disorder, an eating disorder, anxiety, and there's so many more. We also want to pay attention to somebody's physical health. They might be struggling with chronic pain, a chronic illness, maybe even a brain injury. We want to pay attention to somebody who has a family history of mental health, suicide attempt, or even suicide. Maybe they were abused as a child, verbally or physically. We also want to make sure that any stressful life events can really impact the way we think, the way our brain operates. People who are struggling with their suicidal thoughts often try to communicate this. The way they do so is often not quite clear, but some of them do directly reach out and share that they're thinking about suicide. If they do, please take them serious at any time. In other cases, it might not be as clear, and I really ask you to trust your gut. Somebody might be talking about not having a reason to live, feeling like a burden, feeling trapped, or talking about unbearable pain, whether this is physical or emotional pain. Their behavior usually changes drastically. They might start drinking more than usual, abuse drugs, they sleep too much or too little. They start acting recklessly, doing dangerous things. They might start withdrawing from activities, isolate themselves from friends and family, might even look up ways to kill themselves online, and give away possessions. I'm not talking about spring cleaning, I'm talking about things that are of value for them. Their car, their TV, their PlayStation, maybe even their pet. Often their mood changes. They might be aggressive when they used to be a very relaxed person. They snap at you for no reason. They have signs of anxiety. Their mood is usually very off from their usual mood and behaviors. So whenever somebody seems different, please trust your gut and reach out to them. The way you reach out to somebody who might be struggling with suicidal thoughts is in private. This is not something you want to discuss in public, in a group. This needs to be a one-on-one conversation. Most importantly, listen to their story. Be an active listener. This is not your time to talk. This is really the time for you to listen and be there for your loved one. Express that you care and that you're there for them. Keep repeating yourself over and over again. Ask them directly about suicide. Are you thinking about suicide? Using the word suicide does not plant the idea in their head. And then really encourage them to seek a mental health professional. Maybe even try to help them find a mental health professional in your area, talk to their insurance, really try to help them to get the mental health services that they need. I also encourage you to not minimize their feelings. Even if you might be struggling with suicidal thoughts or depression, you never know what the other person is going through. Try not to convince them that life is worth living, because that actually makes them withdraw. And don't give advice to fix things. This is not the time to come up with a solution. That is where the mental health professional comes in and can work with that person that is struggling. If you are thinking about suicide, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-8255. This is also a great resource if you want to talk to somebody while you're helping somebody who's struggling with the suicidal thoughts. This is a free service. It's available 24/7 and it's anonymous, so they don't know who you are. If you don't want to talk, you can also text at 741-741. And if it's an emergency, if somebody is in the midst of attempting to take their life, please call 911. For more resources, you can go to afsp.org. Thank you so much.